Welcome to Call of the Father. This week I'm going to talk a little bit about why I started this podcast and just some of the things that I went through with my motivation for it and just growing to the point where I was ready. In the beginning, I had the idea, and early on, just thinking about it over a couple of years, it took a while to get there, but originally, this podcast was almost called The Man Dad. That's what I wanted to call it. And there's kind of a story about that. But just men being involved as fathers has always been important to me. It's really close to my heart. And anyway, there was a story that happened at one point, just trying to parent the older kids, the boys. You know, with my ex, she kind of butted heads with the oldest one, the daughter. She didn't really, there was always something there between them. And so she didn't really get in the way of, she let me do what I felt I needed to do to try to parent her and mentor her. And it was good. I really, she's just a good person, my oldest daughter. She's an amazing person, and I really cherish our relationship even now. But the boys, there was something different with the two older boys, and I wrote about it in my journal at one point. It felt like I made up the term parent blocked. I felt like she was parent blocking me, didn't want me to do what I had an inclination to do in my heart. What my innate intuition was to handle certain things certain ways, and I wanted to mentor them. I wanted to be close. I wanted to help them to learn and grow. And at one point, I don't even remember which boy, but something was going on, and I didn't like what was going on. There was a behavior that I felt like I needed to nip in the bud and get him set on the right track. And as this was, and he was older at that point. I think the boys were, this wasn't long before the divorce, so like a couple of years, they had to be in high school. And anyway, I just remember I was getting frustrated, and I was voicing to my ex what I wanted to do, and she did not want me to do anything. She wanted to just let it be, did not want me to get involved, and I was getting frustrated. And at one point, I kind of got upset with her, and I said, let me be a man dad. I want to raise men, not little bitches. And I don't know, there's a lot about that. It's kind of funny. But I see things a little differently now. I might not be so harsh. And I don't know. I probably wouldn't refer to my boys as little bitches or anything like that. They're good kids. But she was kind of in the way, and she didn't know what to say. Like she wasn't helping them grow out of the problem, but she didn't want me to get involved. And that was kind of frustrating. Anyway, so I had wanted to name it The Man Dad. Something was too similar or taken, and anyway, it didn't work out, and I'm glad that it didn't. I feel like Call of the Father is a better name, and it's actually more in line with the way that I feel about this, and even just the artwork that's there. You know, the heart in the hands, offering my heart with an ear on it, and there's just, hopefully that speaks to you even. But whether you believe in God or what you believe in, it could have a lot more significant meaning too. But something that I want to bring into this is that this has been on my heart, and a few people have been following that. I don't know. I don't want there to be, I want this to be real, and I want to be upfront about what I think and what I believe. And I did grow up with a lot of Christian beliefs, and I still believe that there's a God, and or I'm pretty open. I believe that, a lot of people say source energy or the source of all things, or some people say the universe. I just feel less judgmental at this point in my life than I've ever felt. You don't have to believe what I believe. You literally, I don't care. If you find growth and healing and enlightenment and whatever touches your heart and helps you achieve moral standards and just learning and a love vibration, I don't care how you get there. Why should I care? That's your business. I know that my beliefs have changed a little bit. I wouldn't say that I'm Christian anymore because I've just felt a lot of things that didn't add up for me. And when the divorce started, I really leaned hard into God, but I was like, man, I'm seeking truth, and I prayed about it. I prayed that God would reveal the truth to me in certain things. There were some things that I just really wanted to know the truth, and I prayed specifically that He'd show me the truth, even if it challenged everything that I believed in. Because at some point, that faith came into it, and what the faith was that people told me what I believe as a Christian. People presented ideas, and I believed them. It made some sense in some way. Of course, that's the beauty of a debate. Even is the convincing somebody that an argument makes sense. And whatever's been presented to me, growing up about Christianity, a lot of it made sense, but I'll be honest, there were some things that didn't add up and didn't make sense, and there was some cognitive dissonance. And that cognitive dissonance is, I believe something in my mind, but my heart, man, I just really believe my heart doesn't lie. My body has some form of consciousness, or my heart, and I know what's real in my heart, and it screamed out about some things, like something just didn't feel right, and I want there to be just an alignment between my heart and my mind and my belief systems. And anyway, I prayed to see the truth, and I believe that I've seen more truth. And I believe I found some things that first couple years, 2.5, 3 years after the divorce, I was digging into the Bible hard on my own. I don't go to church because I didn't want to hear what somebody's telling me to believe. I wanted God to show me, illuminate what's real. And I saw some things that I'd never heard before. I was like, whoa, what does this mean? There were things that really caught my attention. Sometimes they didn't make sense, and I prayed about it, that somehow it would unravel for me and make sense. And a lot of things did. Some things didn't. Some things just became more clear. But I just really believe in people having freedom to choose what they want to believe and what they feel in their heart. Just to live and let live. As long as you're not hurting other people, I believe we all should try to live in a love vibration. So anyway, that's out there. That's been on my heart. Believe what you want, and I won't judge you. I just want to present messages and conversations about things that encourage people to strive for a love vibration and to seek healing, love, growth, those things. Anyway, so the reasoning of starting the podcast, the verses that popped out to me are Malachi 4, 5, and 6. And verse 5 said, "Behold, I'm going to send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and terrible day of the Lord." And verse 6, it says, "He will restore the hearts of fathers to children and the hearts of the children to their fathers, so that I will not come and smite the land with a curse." And something that really stood out to me was this was the very last verse in the entire Old Testament before everything supposedly changed in light of Christianity, this was the very last thing God had to say. And that's significant. It felt like this is a big deal. If he's been going through this whole, everything we see in the Old Testament and got to this point, said, okay, this is it. This is what I have to say, and then everything's changing. Wow, I was kind of blown away. And I started looking at that, and I'm like, man, restore the hearts of fathers to children and the hearts of the children to their fathers. Why is this so significant? And I just think that I could go into it for a long time, but I'm going to make that part brief. It's really important that fathers are involved with their children and that there's a heart connection there. We need to mentor our children. There's a lot of studies about kids that have their dads involved and kids that don't, and the impact on them emotionally, psychologically. You've probably heard them, but there's a lot of research study on that, and it's a significant thing. Anyway, it's important to me to be involved with my kids, and I think that we've really been taught that mothers are the ones that raise children, and that fathers don't need to do much because the mothers have it handled. And I think mothers have a lot on their plates, and I think that makes it hard. I think that makes it pretty hard, and I think children are wanting to connect with their dads. When I was growing up, I had that desire to connect with my dad, and I never got the connection that I wanted with him. Don't get me wrong, there were things that he did good for me, but I could probably question what were the motives behind it, because a lot of times it ended up feeling like it pointed back to him and whether it made him look good or not. My stepdad, he's the one that I'm the closest to, and he came into my life when I was probably 5, and that was a good time. Like, I'm very thankful for him in my life and what he did, and that he hung in there with just everything. With my mom, man, I would have quit. I wouldn't have put up with her shit, just to be honest. I didn't with my ex. Like, at a point where it got to where it got, I knew that it was over for me. But he cared about me and my sister, and he wasn't perfect, but he really tried, and he played such an important role in my life. I see how some of the things that he did for me and the way that he was with me, though it was far from perfect, it really programmed me in some good ways where I had a lot of bad programming. But he programmed me to think that that was an important role and that it could make a difference. And it did. It wasn't always easy with him. I wasn't as, I don't know. There were hard times, but he was a good role model. I guess what I'm saying about him is it was really in his heart to try and do the best that he knew how with, man, he had trauma when he was a kid, and trying to do the best that he could. It was in his heart. His dad died when he was 8, and his mom was pretty poor, and he ended up working from the time he was like 8 years old. He got a job, started making a little bit of money. A pretty big deal for an 8-year-old to have to try to bring money in to help support the family. Unreal. It's just an unreal story and a sad story. So I think he didn't get to have as much childhood as he wanted, and it shows in a lot of things. Like, as an adult, he had a trade job that he was very good at, and he was very disciplined and very focused, very responsible. Just a very responsible person on that level. And I think what drove him was what he missed. He didn't get it, and he wanted to provide what he didn't get for me and my sister. Man, that could make me emotional just thinking about it. That was a big deal for him to step in to that situation. And even when he probably saw fairly early on, I know that he did. I remember him taking me and my sister. My mom disappeared, and who knows where she was. She just pretty irresponsible, and him going looking for her with me and my sister. He didn't know what to do, but he had us. He was making sure we were taken care of, and he had a good heart, and that's what really means the most to me and why I'm still close to him. He had a good heart, and he did the best that he could. With my dad, what I'd say is a little different is, I kind of alluded to it. A lot of things when he did do good felt like, well, where were the motives? I don't know that I felt the heart there all the time. I think that I felt a lot of things feeling like it was about him. And he had his own trauma too. We have choices when we face adversity and trials and trouble. We have a choice of who we want to be and who we want to become out of it, how we want to react, how we want to treat situations. But we always have a choice to be who we want to be. I want to have a good heart. I'm not always perfect, and one of the things I'm going to do a podcast on, or an episode one time on intentions of the heart, because it's a big deal and it's one of the hardest things to keep straight, is always questioning your motives and making sure they're pure. Anyway, I think that my stepdad had pretty pure motives, and that's why I still love him. I'm very close with him, and I'm very appreciative I'm just appreciative for him in my life. In a lot of ways, I feel like he saved me. And my sister, I know that she feels the same way. Neither one of us talked to our mom or our dad, but we both talk to him and remain close to him. So when I got together with my ex, she had the 3 older kids, and that was an important role to me, and it was something that I didn't take lightly. It was something that was as heavy as if I wanted to be with her, as heavy in consideration as whether I wanted to be with her or not, was the fact that she had these kids. And I wouldn't take that lightly. I wouldn't get involved in that if I didn't want that role. And I've had a lot of conversations with the older kids over the years about that, when I chose to be with their mom, I chose them. Told them that. I said, I chose you. I wanted to be your dad, and it's been a privilege and an honor being your dad. And I wanted to mentor you, and I wanted to try to help you. Didn't do everything perfect, and I told them along the way, I'm not going to do everything perfect. The oldest daughter, I remember trying to help her through. She was in trouble a couple times and kind of got on her. And then usually after I get on them, there's always a time to come back and say, hey, the reason I'm doing this, and I want to reason with them, and this is the reason I'm doing this, because I love you. I believe in you, and I know you can do better than this, and I want to encourage you to go that way. Right now, I have a responsibility to oversee as a parent and make sure you go the right way, but it's not always going to be that way. I told her that, and I told her, she was in middle school. I said, you're learning this now, but so am I. I said, this is my first time being a dad with a kid your age. And she was in middle school. This is my first time. I'm learning as I go, and I'm trying to do the best that I can. And I probably won't do everything perfect, but I want you to know I care, and I'm trying, and we're going to get through this, and I'm going to do what I do know how to teach you how to overcome this. And I think those kind of conversations went a long way with the kids. And when the divorce started, I was afraid. I thought I'd lose the older kids, just in the dynamic of everything that, I'm just a stepdad and she's their mom. I don't know. It seems a lot of times in divorces that sides are taken, and sometimes they're with blood, and I don't know. A big thing in my life is that blood hasn't mattered that much. With my parents, my dad said that one time, that like after some very toxic behavior from him, to be quite frank, it was disgusting behavior after I was an adult. And I was like, I'm out and I'm leaving. I was gathering up my family. And I'm like, we're going to go. And he came outside, followed us out, and he's like, hey, we're family. And I'm thinking, so we're family, we're blood, so you get to act this way. Yeah, I don't think so. And that's not acceptable. So blood's not the most important thing to me, and it wasn't with my stepkids. I felt like, I hate that word stepkids, but I felt like I chose them. It's almost bigger than procreating. It's almost a bigger deal, and I've told them that over the years, Like, you have these younger siblings, and I don't want you to ever think, try not to compare the love. It's going to look different. It feels different. Like, these kids came, and I don't feel like I had a choice but to love them. Your mom and I had these kids, and I do love them. There's no question I have to. It's not even a question in my heart. But something that should almost trump that in your heart is that when I got together with your mom, I chose you. I wanted you. I wanted to love you. I chose you, and I've never turned back from that. I've never thought, I don't want to love you. There's been some hard things. Parenting's hard. Relationships are hard. There's been things that hurt along the way, but it hurts sometimes to be the stepdad and feel like the guy on the outside, but you matter to me. I love you, and I wanted to be your dad. This is all important, and I hope it's sinking in the importance of being a dad. And it doesn't matter if you're a stepdad, real dad, fathers. Like, men can be fathers, and they need to be involved in their kids' lives. And if you're a single guy, if you're looking at girls that, I guess I'll just say I don't carry much respect for guys that go out with or marry women with children, single moms, and treat the kids like crap and like they're just putting up with them to be with their mom. That's a bunch of bullshit. I don't like that at all. They should be picking those kids as much or more than the mom, and then everything else will fall into place. You gotta, kids matter. It's one of the most important jobs in the world, is being a dad. I don't think there's much more to say here. I'm going to end this here. Thank you for listening. I just wanted to get the whole Christian belief thing off my heart. It's something that's been on my mind. I don't necessarily subscribe all the way into Christianity, and I think there's good people in every belief system. It's what's in your heart. You got to be striving for a love vibration, and I don't care how you get there. So if that's unacceptable to you and you're Christian, no worries. You don't have to listen. I'm sure you'll find one that resonates with you. But if you're Christian and it still resonates, if you're not Christian and it resonates, the right people this is going to help the right people, this podcast, and it shouldn't even be a big deal. But that was on my mind, and I wanted to get it out. Thank you for listening. I'll be back next week.